Welcome, everybody, to the second episode, the dose of Beyond the Mailbox. I have a brand new guest for everybody today. She is the co founder, co owner of B2 Direct, my friend, Tanya Brown.
Hello. Thank you.
What's going on? Everybody's good in PA or what?
Everybody's good in PA today. I'm looking out the window. We had like gale force winds yesterday, but today the sun is shining. The trees are pretty stagnant. I think some fair weather is on the way here. I saw maybe 80 degrees this weekend.
I wish. I'm getting nothing of the sort in New Jersey, so I'm kind of jealous, but we'll see.
Come visit.
It's true. It's a bit further than it used to be, but I could do it.
Well, you are always welcome here, Brian.
I appreciate you. So I want to start today with a little background. Tanya and I know each other for over 20 years. Tanya was actually my first client ever in the email industry. She worked at a company called Web Clients, and we would run data for her. And she was literally my first contact ever. So it's kind of cool to then fast forward 20 plus years and we get to do this fun pod and kind of talk about email together.
Absolutely, I agree. And we're all both kind of still doing similar things, just at a different level.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like it's just on a different part of it. Um, it's not necessarily like traditional, like old school where we would just hit the button and then just make a bunch of money.
Well, yes,
But
the fields of money no longer exist. You do have to work a little bit harder.
yeah, I feel like that's the truth. Like we're not in the old days of the Boca Bandits, right? Like we can't just find a mailer out there. The Wild West, yeah, man. Like I feel like those days were like printing money, and
Right.
now you actually have to know what you're doing.
A little bit.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. I mean, like you probably have more so than most people that I know experience in like the two major parts of email marketing, like between first party data and third party data. So for people that are coming in here watching that don't necessarily know a ton about the difference between the two, could you talk a little bit about what makes first party data versus third party data and sort of the benefits of both?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first party data is users coming to your digital page, so your website, signing up with their personal information, leaving it on your site, hitting submit, and recognizing your brand, right? Because they assumingly read through your web page and they know all about you. So once they hit submit, they're connected with you, right? So marketing to those individuals is a bit easier because there's a lot of recognition there. When you're talking about third party data, that is essentially somebody else's own data that you either purchase or rent or you're doing some management with, and there is no direct connection. You're just doing like an extension of yourself with that, so it gives you a little bit more reach, but there is no direct connection to your brand. So in that sense, whereas, there's some positives with third party, I would say first party is definitely the way to go.
So to kind of summarize, when you're talking first party, we're talking your own websites, your own lead generation to those sites, and getting them to opt in to send your marketing material or your, whatever you're selling per se. And then it becomes a bit easier because there's brand recognition behind that, and it's like kind of typical to say like if you take a big retail market like a Macy's or a Best Buy or something along those lines, the brand is there, so you recognize the emails coming in from there, and you're more likely to engage to it in theory, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, Macy's is great, right? That's a brand that everybody recognizes. So if you went there and actually signed up for an account and Macy's started marketing to you over and over again, you would be well aware of that. And like, probably more than likely to continue to engage.
And then in terms of like some of the pros I remember on the third party side is too like it becomes more in terms of the value you get back. It's more volume based because you can get your hands on a lot more data, and you can sort of monetize that data in any which way you want to see what, I hate using the term, but like sticks to the wall.
Sure.
And
Like
so you could,
I often use that, right?
right. So you can potentially still market to the same products, the same offers, the same, marketing material to that third party list as you would with the first, with the idea being like you may not get the same engagement, but you have more volume there. So maybe you can play with the analytics a little bit to see if you can make it work in a larger capacity.
That's correct. And, kind of where email oversight comes into play is um, they may not recognize you. So they're like hitting spam or
Right.
telling you to go away because you're just kind of coming in left field to market to them and hoping that the email addresses that were sent to you are legitimate, right? First of all, that they are
Right.
legit email addresses. And there's no bouncing all those, awesome things that come with emailing to data that you haven't captured yourself. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of what ifs, a lot of question marks when you're mailing to third party data. I mean, like I said, first party is definitely the way to go. There's more brand recognition. I'm not going to say that it's cheaper per se because it's definitely expensive building a brand and going out there and using those marketing dollars to secure those records firsthand could be a little bit cheaper to go buy somebody else's data at a fraction of the cost, but then you've got to deal with some headaches that come along with it.
Well, I think too, when like the education that comes along with first versus third, like a big conversation that comes up on my desk a lot, like for email oversight side, is, well, we don't run third parties, so we don't see the need to verify the data before it comes to us. So that I have to explain, just because it's coming through your own websites or through your own sales channels doesn't mean that it's a verified email address. Like there's tons of what we call fat fingering. There's a lot of typos that come in. There's a lot of like more bot technology that will come in and scrape through and just fill out a bunch of forms. So I have to explain to a lot of people, if first party is great from a mailing perspective, but it doesn't mean the data quality is higher or lower. You still have to pay attention to it. And if you're not using a verification vendor, let's say, you might want to think to do that, because it's only really going to increase the data quality for the stuff coming in the lead gen side, at least.
9,000%. I agree with you. And also, think about some of the ESPs that you use, they charge per volume, right?
Right.
So if you're not getting your data cleaned, then you're putting more records into the system. You're charged more because you have invalid records because you didn't do your due diligence to get the data cleaned prior to putting it in. So it's kind of like, why not do that stuff before? Take all that off the table and then put it in your ESP. Should have a better experience and see better results.
Yeah, I think like most people going into it are traditional third party mailers, at least from our affiliate world where they probably started.
That's what I was just gonna say. Probably definitely started there for sure.
Yeah, and so like that's where their experience lies a lot of times. And obviously like email changes and stuff, and you have to follow along with all those changes. But I think the preconceived notion is still the same, where it's like third party, you have to verify, you have to clean, you have to make sure it's good to go before we add it into our ESP, or if you're using your own MTA. And then, oh, now we're moving and pivoting to say first party, and it's like, no, 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 these are ours. Like we're getting them in, and everything is great. And then I'm like, nah, doesn't really work like that. And so it's like bringing them back down to earth a little bit and explaining that it's just as important. It's going to be a different sort of percentage that you lose in comparison to say third party, where like the hard bounce rates get a bit higher. There's probably a lot more complainers or spam trap technology in there. So you're just looking at it with a different scope, but it still gives you the same end result. And like going back to kind of what you were mentioning before about ESPs, like one of the questions I wanted to ask you today, because your experience in this space is one where you've used third-party ESPs to send out your deployments in your mail, but you've also had an in-house team where you guys have your own IPs, your own domains, and your own MTA, which, for people that don't really understand what an MTA is, it's a mail transfer agent. So it's essentially an engine that deploys out for you, but there's no interface involved. It's something that you guys would create on top of that. So, in your experience, do you prefer having everything in house and managing the resources, or do you prefer using an ESP or like a hybrid of the two?
A hybrid for sure. And mostly for redundancy because shit happens. Like technology
Hey,
is
that's Butter and Melon's slogan. Like shit does happen and often.
yeah. So I mean, you always have to be ready for. I mean, you could lose deliverability in an instant, right? And if you lose it, then you're stuck. So I like the school of and have always used the approach of having our internal system and then multiple external ESPs. Um, for that redundancy purpose mainly, but there's more to it. So so having our internal system is a little cheaper, right? And I have full control of everything. But I don't have a lot of bells and whistles that maybe ESP 1, 2, or 3 might have. And those ESPs might individually have separate bells and whistles that are a little bit different from each other. One could be targeting. Another could be deliverability to one ISP over another, a little bit stronger. Maybe they have a better relationship. Not sure, how that really happens at the end of the day, but um, that's what we've seen through the years is that some are a bit stronger with some ISPs over others. And so just to give yourself more reach, that's what we've done. Another thing is segmentation. Some ESPs allow for that and they have additional technology so that you can do segmentations of your data within your the login that they provide for you. Not all of them have that capability, so technology is a bit different across the board. And compliance, right? So uh, if you're using your own ESP, like you know what compliance tools are being used. If you're using somebody else's, you've got to do some due diligence to figure out if they have everything in place, like is the ascending domain public, private? Is the opt out link working properly? I mean, those are simple things, but you lose control if it's not your technology that you're working with. But of course, like anything else, like you're constantly testing and making sure those things are working because it's your hide at the end of the day because your name's on that mailing going out.
I think too, what most people don't understand about having an ESP or multiple ESPs compared to your own MTA is when you do move into the MTA route where you have like a custom version of your sender, let's call it, you have to have a team that's managing all of that stuff. So you're basically investing in an operational team. And like some people have one or two people, some people have like network engineers that are doing it and from a different level. And so, but you're managing IPs, you're managing domains, you're managing like a cadence of when things are being mailing. You might have developed like a front end that's custom for like importing what marketing materials you're sending out or what offers you're sending out. And if you pivot from there and you look at what an ESP can offer, and everybody's different, right? There's some smaller level ESPs that are just doing sending. And it's like very rudimentary and basic from the sense of upload a creative, upload a subject line, upload a from line, auto kind of assigns the resources that are built into your account and you hit send. One person, more or less, could probably do that.
Right.
But like some of them, like you mentioned, have a lot more bells and whistles. So you can get super granular about how to set up your cadences or your schedule for how you're mailing things and like your A/B testing on certain offers or products that you're trying to market to. And then it becomes utilizing multiple ESPs both for deliverability purposes, but also for like the actual resources that they have. And so, like you mentioned, like you might get great reporting from this one, but this one allows you to build out more cadence with your creative and A/B tests. So you sort of use them interchangeably as opposed to like putting your eggs in one basket, I guess, is the best way to put it.
And great hit on reporting. I didn't even mention that, but that's huge. Some offer none. Like there's network.
What's wild to me, like even to this day, and we know, like you and I both know some owners of ESPs,
Oh, yeah.
and like that's a topic of conversation that comes up often. I don't understand how reporting has not been addressed inside of like the ESP market as a whole.
Or
People
become more
still
compliant.
complain.
Yep. Yep.
It's just like if I can't go in there and look at the analytics of things, right? And see like what my deliverability rates are, what's inboxing, what's not inboxing, everyone has essentially like an open and a clicks metric. That's pretty standard, I would think, across. Yeah, but that's about as basic as some of these will get.
Yes.
And like, I've even gotten to the point where I have clients that'll come to us and they'll say, we've had data within this ESP for a couple of years, and we're starting to see spikes and hard bounces, and we never had that before. And I'll say, hey, just send me some samples. I'd love to just look at what those hard bounces are. And like, well, we have no capability to get the reporting on those hard bounces. We're just basically being told you're hitting them.
Right.
So they can't even export a subset or like a segmentation of that data that's problematic, I guess. And like that to me, I guess is, I don't know if that's just the nature of where the ESP market is because they know that people need them so they don't have to change. Or is that just one of those things where people are just like, we'll slowly move into creating more reporting opportunities for clients as the needs present themselves.
Yeah. And that's usually what it is. When you're signing up for these different ESPs, there's levels, right, on what you want to spend and what you want to receive. And most folks, like if you're not too familiar with them, you'll start at that basic level. So you start sending, you get some familiarity with the equipment that you're using, the technology, and then you grow from there. So hopefully the ESP has a little bit more, especially if the user runs into an issue. If you want to keep customer retention, right, you got to provide them what they want. Otherwise, they'll go away, and they'll find that other ESP that is going to provide those tools for them.
Yeah, I think also with like ESPs as a whole, as like there's such a lack of education in the space for new mailers that want to come in and pick what is going to work best for me.
Yep.
And I think they fall in love with a rep.
There's no one fits all either. So that's a good,
Yeah,
that's
that's a
a
great
good
point.
there's no one fits all. Yeah. Everybody
I
has
mean,
different needs. Yeah.
and we all like have our friends within the industry that we like to refer business to, and it's like it's less the friendship and just knowing that they're going to take care of the customers that we refer over. But one of the things that I always mention to people is just do not fall in love with the rep, because like you can really listen to somebody and buy into the bullshit, and then you use the system and you realize it's doing nothing that they said it's going to do. Like really take your time and learn about what the ins and outs of the ESP are, and also like if you want to learn about like getting your own MTA and what that all involves, because if you can understand and educate yourself on the benefits of both and you can commingle them like in a cohabitat like you guys do, there's benefits to having like this whole organized sort of structure that works for different reasons. And like the better you can understand why that happens and why those pieces are important, the faster I think it will get you to be able to monetize the whole mailing operation. Like I think people, especially for you and I, like talking to a lot of mailers, like what they'll always talk about is like, well, the plan is to get to this volume and we're going to send out this much mail. And like the first thing that I tell everybody is like, for pump your brakes, right? Like there's no ESP in the world that's going to just let you upload 10 million records and just start hitting the go button on it.
Right.
So like adjust your expectations, number one. And number two, like you have to understand how each ISP is treated differently these days. Like you can't just load up a million email addresses across multiple ISPs and say, all right, here we go. Like, here's my offer. Here's my lander. Here's my pay. Here's my creative. And then like, watch me get 50% opens and clicks. Like that's just not realistic.
No, not even close. Our slogan around here is grow low and slow. Because
That's it.
yeah,
Well, you scale at your own pace.
when this conversation first started, we nailed it. It's not the wild wild west anymore. At one point in time, a lot of years ago,
Yeah.
you could load up 100,000 records and just have at it. But now I'll be honest with you, there's some IP, some that we start less than 100 records a day, and then just like go for a couple days and double. So it does take time, but you have to watch. Like you have to constantly watch. So back to reporting. You have to have the right reporting tools that are hitting your inbox on a regular basis so that you can see your performances and make intelligent decisions. It takes time. It takes
Yeah.
time.
And I do think it does take a team. Like I don't think you can take on a project like that based on listening to other email marketers tell you their story, and then you come into it thinking, well, I could be a one-man operation or I could be a two-man operation. Like I do think it takes a team of people to not only build out your infrastructure but also to like trial by fire things. And like you can't, if you have like the blinders on and then like you're doing the hyper focus where like I'm only going to do it this way, and you don't have another party with you that's going to say, we should A/B test, or we should do it this way, or we should try this ESP, you're going to falter more than you're going to do. And like I think email more than most like transit things in our space for in terms of like the channels that you're able to market to is the most volatile, but it's also the most successful. So like you have to survive off of the bad days just as much as you thrive off the good days.
Oh, the peaks and valleys are high and low.
Yeah.
Yeah, very high.
And it's hard to explain to people how often the most successful mailers that we all know have had to fall off the horse, get back on the horse, or building blows up, got to rebuild the entire thing from the ground up. And it's, you can tell somebody until your face turns blue and they don't listen. And then it happens.
Yep.
And then it's like, all right, well, you got kicked in the face. What are we doing next?
And it's like sports, right? I love folks that come in here that have a sports background, because when you take an L in a sports game, do you not go to practice the next day? Do you not show up for the next game? No, you take your lumps, you move on, you refocus, you come up with a new game plan, and you have at it. But that's that's kind of like what we're
It's the same.
right.
I can sell. Yeah, I can sell more from a person from their L's than I can from your W's.
Oh yeah.
And that's like of a lot of different industries, like mail specifically, it's very much like that because you can get defeated real fast and be like, you know what, let's go back to doing what we normally would do and let's just abandon that whole thing. But
It's very rare to have an undefeated season.
there's no change.
Usually more L's than wins, but you just have to you just hope those wins were a little bit more fruitful.
1,000%. One thing I want to pivot to is something that I want to start asking our guests. So, self plug, we've been running email oversight for a really long time. And one of the things we kind of don't do enough of is we don't talk to our clients enough about how we've helped. Like I think on paper, from a verification standpoint, we understand what the value is on why you need to verify and clean your data, right? But we never really ask customers or clients, hey, is there an instance where email oversight really helped you out? So I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to ask you, since you've been a client for a really long time and we've been friends for a long time and in the industry, how has email oversight helped you guys from your mailing operation?
It's helped us in multiple ways. So I think I touched on a little bit. It's improved our deliverability because we're getting rid of those bounces. And a lot of ISPs look at your bounce percentage, right? And that's like one of the initial variables that they're checking right away to see where your bounce rates are. And if they're super high, you're done. You're gone. They're kicking you off.
Low thresholds, man, low thresholds.
Absolutely. And so using you guys has helped us like keep those to a minimum. We like it as 0, but every now and then one or two will slip through the crack, but that's acceptable, completely acceptable.
Right.
So it's helped out with that. I think I'd already mentioned cost wise. some of the ESPs that we use charge per volume. So, how many records you're storing on their platform. And so, if we are just loading up a mass file without getting it cleaned, then we've got some poor performing records on there that are costing us money. So, it's making us more effective, right? So, it's more cost effective because we're not spending those extra dollars on having useless data sitting in a system that's going to cause us problems. And then stronger sender reputation, right? So that's another variable that ESPs are going to be looking at when you're sending. They want to make sure that sender reputation is high and you're not getting complaints or you're not hitting spam traps and things of that nature. So you want to have the best quality records that you're mailing to on a regular basis. So I mean, you're my friend. And I think you nailed it earlier with ESPs. Like, everything in this industry, you can take back to being relationship driven. And you and I have known each other for 20 plus years. I can tell you if your business wasn't helping ours, we'd still be friends, but I would have moved on. And
You've said that 100 times over, I think, over the years,
yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. And B2 will be 14 years old in October. And we've been using you since day one. I mean, we had that reputation before the relationship before Lyra and I started B2. And it's worked out. And there's a lot of trust too between the two of us.
I'm happy to hear that. See, like, it's like I don't like asking people kinds of stuff like that because it's hard to listen to positive and negative feedback, I think, for a lot of people. But, you know, having done it for so long, I think it's important not only for us as a company and you as a company to understand, like, what are we giving you that is helping? What do you need? But also I think it's good, like, to have a platform where you're able to share that experience, and like somebody that's listening could hear something that we're talking about today that's going to be helpful for them that they never even thought to or they never thought to think about, right? Like, you don't know what you don't know, and unless something triggers you to sort of get it, you're never going to really think about it again.
Yeah, and the things that I said might have sounded simple, right? But it's like you said, if you didn't really think about it, like, oh yeah, she's right. What, I just loaded up this file without doing anything to it, and they do charge me for that. So
Right. Sometimes you
off the
unlock a new door,
yeah,
like secret level stuff, man. Like, like, I joke around it a lot at work where I'll say, like, I think we unlocked a new level, and it's silly stuff, but
gaming,
like,
we're gaming.
we're totally gaming, guys. I mean, we're nerding out, and that's what we like to do.
Yeah.
I think that it's really important for Mail to have a platform where people can talk openly about, like, not only the basics but also about, like, experiences, because I think traditionally what you and I probably have experienced in the industry is, like, you run into a lot of people that, I hate using the term black hat, but I'm just going to use it, where they don't want to share anything. And it's like, oh, we're successful because of X, Y, and Z. Well, I don't necessarily think you have to give secret sauce stuff, but, like, share the experience. Like, there are tons of mailers out there that want to do some stuff and they're afraid to ask because they think they're going to be shut down.
But I often wonder, like, do they really do that then? If they don't want to talk about?
I could not tell you how many times I'll sit and, like, observe a conversation, or if, like, you or I are at a mailer meetup, let's say,
Yes.
and, like, we're overhear a conversation. We tend to eavesdrop just a little bit. We like to people watch,
Sure.
and we'll overhear someone telling another, like, person at the event, like, oh, I'm doing this, and this, and then I think to myself, are you really doing that?
Right.
Because I feel like you like to say you're doing it, but I don't. I could see the volume that you're sending on my side. I don't know about that. So something that the math don't math.
Yes, that is correct. And yes, we've there's definitely some of those players in the industry. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the more you share, hopefully you get back, and there's some education going back and forth that true partners can help each other out.
I think you have to establish long standing relationships, I think, to thrive in our industry more than anything. And so like I'm an open book, you're an open book. Like, come ask us questions. Like, I don't think it needs to be that way where we're just going to shut you off and be like, all right, new guy. Like, I'm not telling you anything. Like, that's silly to me. Like, to be so close minded and not want to share like industry experience of 20 plus, especially I think in our industry, is super rare now.
Well,
Like, you're really not seeing it.
yeah, and things are changing all the time. Like, I'm not great at Gmail at all. Not great at Gmail delivery, but I had an old friend just a couple weeks ago pop up in Telegram. Yo, we got to get off of Skype. So everybody's getting on Telegram.
Everyone's shifting.
Love it. Because I am a little bit of an old dog. Don't like those new tricks of the chat platforms changing. But every time someone's joining Telegram, like it pops up, like you got a new connection.
Oh, I know. It's like almost like an alert to be like, oh, I remember that person.
Yeah. So like it's great. It's like a conversation starter, right? So someone had just popped up, we started chit-chatting. He started his own mailing system. I won't call it an ESP because he's not marketing it as one, but has the ability to let a friend a competitor in the inbox then too, right? Because if he's mailing Gmail successfully already, I'm trying to figure it out because 80% of my database is Gmail and I know I'm leaving money on the table. He's like, hey, I'll help you. And we kind of had a couple conversations. I'm gonna, if all goes right here in the next week or so, I'm gonna load some files up and see what I can do. But that's huge.
And it's awesome. Like, and that's, I think that's a sign maybe that times are changing in that way where we're pulling back the curtain a little bit for people and saying like, let's just help each other out. I'm not saying you have to copy somebody's whole like business model, let's say, but like, hey, if I have a couple tips on how you guys can start out your side and fix some of the deliverability issues you're having with whatever ISP, like I want my friends to succeed.
And maybe he wants to grow his business and become an ESP. And I'm a trusted source. He's gonna see everything I'm doing. We're gonna talk it out. And if it works, I work out the kinks for him. He's able to grow his business and it's a win for me. So it's great.
Value on both sides.
Yeah.
There's value on both sides for sure.
For sure.
I want to try a new segment to close out the show. You're going to be our first guest to do it. Are you down?
I'm scared. All right, we'll do it.
I feel like you and I are good at these types of things. So I feel like you're a good first guest to try it out. I'm just going to hit you with a rapid fire. You can either give me a one-word response for this, or you can give me like a quick one-sentence, one-liner based on your answer.
All right, it's got to be quick though. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what they call it, rapid fire time.
All right.
I'm just making sure you understand the rules.
I got
Can't I don't want cheaters involved.
Them's the
What? Them's the rules. Best advice you've ever gotten from an email marketing company or an email marketing partner?
First party data is king.
Oh, I love that. What is your favorite trade show to go to and why?
Current or past?
I will accept either answer.
Okay, so they don't do it anymore, but when Affiliate Summit was in San Francisco, that was so much fun.
Love that show.
Yeah, so much fun. I miss it. There's a blue couch at the W.
Yep.
It's like the hangout spot.
I love that. And there was a place we used to go to with the giant fireplace.
Shout out to the blue stuff. I hope it's still there.
Oh, I bet you it still is. Zoom meetings or phone meetings?
So I'm old school. I want a phone.
I love this. Same. I cannot, like, Michael and I were talking offline before we started the pod, and we were saying how it's like the demand now to be on camera all the time. And I was like, I'm over it. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was into it during COVID because it was new and different, and you weren't seeing people, so like it was filling a void. And now I'm like, yo.
Yeah. No, there's times where I'm like, I'm not prepared. Yeah. Like, my voice is the same. Like, whether you can see it or not. You know what I mean?
I'm aging, but I almost kind of look the same, dude.
No, I feel like I know a lot of people, and you look exactly the same as when I met you I want to say it was 23 years ago.
You're the best.
I'm doing my best is what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're
All right.
awesome.
Last question, and then we'll cut it. We're at a trade show. We're ordering a beverage, you and I. What are we getting?
Am I saying what you're getting or what I'm getting?
What are you
We're
getting?
I'm getting you a Miller Lite and I'm
Love it.
giving me a vodka soda.
Love it. Love it. Tanya, you are the absolute best. I love you to death. Thank you so much for coming on, and we appreciate the time that you gave today.
You, my friend, are the best. And I
Oh, you're the
appreciate
coolest.
you having me as a guest. This was awesome.
It was a pleasure. I think that hopefully a lot of people learned a bunch of good stuff today and got some good convo in between.
Likewise. And if there's any questions, feel free to share my information. Happy to have chats.
Would love to do it. You get a 1 minute plug if you want to plug anything you got going on over at B2. You're happy to do it. Do your thing.
I get a minute? Yes. So, going along the lines where we started the conversation in the beginning, first party is king. So, a couple years ago, we started our own websites. So, we have a couple brands that are doing really well. We have Choice Gold Card, and it's a tongue twister. So, I always say it wrong as well. Look at it. Choice Resource Helper. And Choice Resource Helper has multiple sub entities to it. So there's like a gas portion, housing, food stamps, unclaimed assets. So there's separate different spin-offs of that brand. Where we're looking for email traffic, SMS, social. So if those types of sites sound appealing to anyone listening, we would love to get some traffic, some additional traffic to those sites. So please reach out.
You heard the lady. If you need to find some pretty cool new offers and some pretty cool most sites, reach out to Tanya Brown, guys. She knows her stuff and she can get you some good traffic. Let's go.
Yeah.
I appreciate you again, Tanya. We'll just take a quick second. Thank you, Email Oversight. Thank you, Email Element and Email Monitor for the sponsorship. Any data related and sending related needs, we have you covered. Thanks for everybody to listen, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.
Thanks, Teebs.
See ya. Bye.